Okay, good afternoon. So we have today with us Ralph, who is a good friend of mine. And I just discovered that he is an IT consultant. So I thought it was perfect for the show all about your profession. I guess people hear the word consultant every other day. They don't, they try to imagine what it is. And I imagine also that there are different kind of consultants. So thank you for being here, Ralph.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to have you actually. So you're very easy to talk to, so I thought you'll be a perfect guest. So the profession of IT consulting probably covers different kind of industries, different kind of I mean, you can be an IT consultant for a manufacturer or
Yes.
for a software company. It could be different kind of company, correct?
Yes, it could be different companies, and the consulting could be in different areas of the companies.
Right. So the consultant, to qualify as a consultant, since this is all about your profession, does that mean you have had exposure to all different kinds of companies?
Yes, I have. I have worked in insurance, banking, brokerage, manufacturing, education, in on the East Coast in Connecticut, New York, New
Wow.
Jersey, Chicago, Texas,
So you
and
have
California.
exposure to the financial world, the
Financial world,
banking,
bank, yes.
and then the other one was
Manufacturing.
manufacturing.
Hmm.
So all these have different aspects of IT, correct?
They all have their own unique problems.
Oh, okay. And you are aware on how to solve these problems? Is
Well,
that what it is?
the problem solving that we did as consultants in my career has been with data centers, call centers,
Mm-hmm.
and mostly in process
Okay.
problem management, change management, just how you work with various departments,
Okay.
intercompany, with other vendors
Yeah.
to try to improve efficiencies. Okay.
And save money
Save
to the
money,
company.
save money, yes.
Okay. So, when, let's say, a company is facing these kind of problems,
Mm-hmm.
how do they decide which consultant to hire? Is it the person has the answer and you tell them, yes, I have the answer? Or is it, uh, how do they make the decision to say you are the right person to
Depends
solve
on
my
what
problem?
depends on what problem they're trying to solve.
Okay.
And for the most part, it's a communication problem within the organization
Yeah.
and outside of the organization. There's a lack of communications many times
Okay.
in terms of what software is changing, what new applications are coming on board,
Yeah.
and the coordination between departments is
Yeah.
sometimes very weak.
Ah.
So we come in, do an analysis, and find out where the weaknesses are. Because
I,
for the most part, they do things right.
okay.
So it's the exception that you look for.
Okay.
Where are they having the biggest problem?
Oh.
So you ignore what they're doing right, and you look at what's breaking all the time, and
Okay.
try to see if
And
you can't get to that resolution.
so the manager of IT in that
Hmm.
company can't figure it out.
The staff, they don't have the time or the energy or the skill set.
Knowledge.
Yeah, they don't, because they're
Okay.
so embedded in their own company doing everyday work that they don't see outside the
Oh.
problem.
Okay. So you as an outsider can see it.
Yes,
Ah. Okay. Because.
because you're not constrained because you don't work for the company,
Okay.
so you're not an employee. So you can
Ah.
come in and give it a third party look
Without getting fired.
without getting fired.
Okay. That's why people hire consultants because they can
They could just,
criticize.
yeah, they could say they get lost. So, yeah,
Yeah. Because people are in most companies, they're afraid to speak up.
yes, they are. Yes, they
Because
are.
they say, "Oh my God, if I speak up, I would be looked at someone who's criticizing, and therefore I might appear as someone who
Yes,
doesn't like the company."
that's right. And the only way the consulting contract works is if it's from the top of the organization says that this is what we want to do, and they
Yeah.
back you. If they don't back you, then you're just wasting your time.
Okay, sometimes they don't implement what you tell
But
them.
most of the time they do because you charge them enough money. They don't want to waste the money.
Okay, so they better implement.
Yeah, they agree to implement. I mean, you're not going to just do it blindly. You're going to sit and get an agreement with them, a
That
consensus, and say,
that
yes,
you will.
that's what we're going to do.
Oh, okay.
So once they buy into it and they pass that on to their staff, that
Yeah.
they cooperate, then you get problem solved that way.
Okay. So let's say you walk in a company and yes, you're hired. How long it takes you to not only find what the problem is, but to solve it. How long? I mean, they're gonna hire for a week, for 10 weeks, for
Most of the time, the contract, what we did initially was we did a 30-day study, 30 to 60-day study
first the
to
study.
find out
Okay.
what the issues were. Well, they would give
Oh,
us a general idea what
so
the
it's 1 month.
at least a month to 60 days
Okay.
to analyze what's going on, do an audit, so to speak,
Okay.
and come back to them and say, here's what we found,
Yeah.
and here's what our recommendations are. And most of the time, the contracts are 6 months to a year.
Okay.
total,
And then
depending on
he
how
comes every
complex.
week, make sure they're
Oh,
implementing.
we're every day. We're
Oh,
every
make
day
sure it's
working
being
with them.
Oh.
Sure, work with them every day.
Oh, okay. So you become actually a very important part of the
Sure.
team.
Well, because you bring in people that are users of the data center
Okay.
and the data center people,
Yeah.
get groups together
Yeah.
with subject matter experts in various areas, and you do your problem solving. Put your process in place, put
Yeah.
new procedures in place, and then we monitor it. We come back after a couple of months and see how they're doing, put metrics in so they can measure what they're doing,
Yeah.
tell whether or not they're getting anything out of this process
Okay.
and what's fixed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, so let's say because you have so much experience in different areas of the world, I mean, of the working places, when they hire you, what do they want to save? They want to save money, time, employees. They want to fire people. People are afraid to hire. No, or what do they want to do?
They don't explicitly want to fire people. What they
Oh.
want to do is find the weaknesses in their organization, whatever that might be.
Oh,
So what we try to do is say, well, there are people that are still salvageable. They just may need training,
ah,
or they may be in the wrong position.
okay.
Because we have done things where we do roles and responsibilities. What's your role? What's your responsibility? And do you have the right skill set?
Mm-hmm.
And then we develop a plan for them to build a skill set up. So
Okay.
we didn't go in there to try to fire people.
Okay, great. Because if you did, then
Well,
people,
mostly,
people would be afraid
well, they
to
usually
have you
were.
there.
They usually were because they would say, "Here come the suits."
Ah, so they say, here
Here come the
comes
suits, yeah.
the person who's gonna.
Yeah, they're going to cost me my job.
Ah,
See, I've been on the other end of that too. I've been in situations where there were consultants brought in companies that I've worked for
yeah,
to come in and straighten things out.
yeah. And did you get fired? No,
No, I didn't get fired.
no. I mean, did they fire a lot of people?
They did. A couple of companies made recommendations that people did get fired. Yeah,
Okay.
for a cause.
So you don't want to walk in there and appear as a person who's gonna do
No,
that.
and you don't have to even appear as a person to do it. They just assume that you're going to do it.
Ah,
Oh, consultants here, that means we're going to lose our jobs.
oh, okay, okay, okay.
But it wasn't the case. No,
Okay.
that's not what we were after.
Okay, but most times you try to save jobs.
Yes, try to save jobs, try to get training, just tweak it a little bit.
Retrain
Retrain people,
people.
sure.
Okay. And if the company hire you to save money, what's the best way to save money?
There's so many different ways. And many times what they do, they just continue to buy software, for example. They buy
Okay.
hardware.
Okay.
And the stuff becomes obsolete or they don't use it anymore and they forget about it.
So you detect
So you,
that.
yeah, well, we go in and look at what software are you using,
Ah.
where are you using it, and why are you using these? Well, we don't use those for 5 years. Well, okay, then you
Don't stop paying the
stop paying,
royalty
stop
on
paying-
it
Yeah, stop paying. Yeah,
because they're very expensive.
it can be. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, very much so.
So have you worked in the high tech industry because that's where most companies are growing now in in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah. I've worked. It doesn't work for Adobe.
Okay. They are in San Francisco, aren't they?
They're
Oh, are
Mountain
they
View.
in Mountain
Mountain
View?
View, yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't work for them. That was their call center. People would call in with problems, so we tried to get an idea of what the range of problems were they were calling in on.
Okay.
See if we couldn't get those resolved very quickly.
Okay.
So that was relatively simple.
So when you go there, do you put yourself in the spot of the worker to see exactly what's going on?
Well, we do interviews.
Ah.
We interview the user community
Okay.
and we interview the IT people.
Okay.
Who do you go to? Who are your subject matter experts in various departments? Ask them a series of questions and try to get a feel for what's going on.
And
How they solving
they
problems.
confide in you and tell you
Oh, yes.
this is my problem, but don't tell my boss.
Yes, they have done that. Yes.
They have done
Yeah,
that
oh,
because
yes.
they don't want to go tell the boss and be the troublemaker. They just
Right.
want to. You're confident. You're the confident.
Yeah, you become a confidant. You do because they. Many times what will happen is someone will find someone in programming, for example, who specializes in accounts receivable or what have you.
Okay.
So instead of going through the call center, they'll call directly to the subject matter expert. Well, now you lose track of where your problems are
Oh.
because nothing's recorded.
Ah.
So I call you and you happen to know the solution. You give me the solution, I fix the problem.
Okay.
But overall, the department doesn't know that you've gotten 50 phone calls this
Oh,
month.
wow.
So we
So-
try to get that separated. Say, wait a second, you can't do that.
No.
We have to take you through the channel so we can track where the problems are.
And then keep track.
Keep track of them, try to analyze what's the cause of them, and fix it, and fix the problem at its source. You could say repetitious problems too.
I noticed, I mean, I've been on the internet also, and I noticed that a lot of companies now outsource the call centers to Zendesk.
Oh, sure you do.
And Zendesk take your email and answer the problem without having to go through the company itself. So they're call centers.
Yes.
So they deal with different companies.
Yes, they do.
And they have to have the answer to all the problems that are the most commonly asked questions. So, so your role would be to go to the call center.
Yeah. Yes. So analyze the call center, call volume,
Yeah.
types of problems they get,
Okay.
how they resolve those problems.
Okay. And how much time they spend
How
on
much
each
time they spend
call,
on each call.
and each also email nowadays.
Yes, wherever they're spending their time to try to figure out why is it taking so long to solve that problem?
Okay.
Because you know, if you call some call center, sometimes they pass you around from this person
And
to
then
that person,
it
that
doesn't
person.
go anywhere.
Doesn't go anywhere.
Nobody has the answer.
No.
So sometime when I don't get the answer, I say, "Can you give me the president of the company? I'm tired of this."
Well, what we did was we set up three levels.
Yeah.
The very first call comes in, 80% of the time you should be able to answer it within 2 minutes.
Okay.
If you can't, then it could go to level 2, which is a little more sophisticated
Okay.
response. Can't solve it there, 80% you should be able to solve there, and the last bit is your third level, really complex problem.
Then you go to the upper management.
Then you go to the upper subject matter experts. So you could train people level 1 to solve certain kinds of problems,
Easy ones.
relatively easy, quick to solve.
Okay.
Level 2, a little more complicated, needs a little more skill set. Level 3 is really needs some help.
Wow.
It could be a really serious system problem. So
Okay.
once you've broken that down, then it's easy because your recognition is really quick.
You know exactly if it's level
You know if
1,
you could
level
fix it.
2, or level
Yeah,
3.
yeah. You know right away if you could fix it.
Okay. And the first person you say who take the call can redirect you
Yes,
to the
they'll
right.
redirect to the right person, so you're not bouncing around in and out.
Okay, so the person who takes the call first must be the most trained to know where to direct.
Yes, because you give them a script to work with.
Okay.
So when you call in, they'll ask you
To
a couple of
identify,
questions to
yeah.
try to identify where this might go. Within
Okay.
within 2 or 3 questions, I should know that I can or cannot fix your problem.
Okay.
So if I can't, at the third question, let's say, I'll pass you on. But when I
Level
pass you on,
2.
I've recorded what I've done.
Yeah.
So you're a level 2, and when you pick up the phone,
You
that
should
person
know
is
it's
there.
level
You should
2.
know what's been done already,
Ah.
so you don't have to ask the same questions again.
It's typed.
Yeah.
It's typed in some kind of monitor or something.
Well, there's systems. There are a number of systems that I've used over the years that
Or
record.
you record the answer.
Yeah.
And then the most difficult one would go to the
Very
engineer.
last. Yeah.
To the
Probably to the engineer. Yeah. Could go that far.
Oh wow. So and your job as a consultant is to
Build that.
build
scheme.
the levels.
Build that level. Build those questionnaires. Get roles and responsibilities in place, and get everybody to buy into it.
Okay.
That was our job.
And also you have to test to see how much it takes, how much time it takes to solve each problem.
Oh, sure. Many times you'll when the phone rings, you'll pick up the phone with the person that's going to answer.
All right.
You get a sense of what's going on at the other end.
And you time it.
Yes.
Okay.
But we
because-
also would interview the people that were calling in
Okay.
to find out who they called, who solved their problem,
Okay.
how long it took to solve it, is it recurring?
So you'll know at the end of the day how many people you need to hire to take the
Yes.
volume of calls.
Yes.
Because each call is going to take half an hour.
Well, we set limits. The first call in, within 2 minutes, you should be able to either fix it or
Oh,
pass it on.
okay.
You don't want people hanging on the phone,
Okay.
right?
And then you pass it on
Pass it on.
if you're really not at that level. And then
Right.
so the whole 1, 2, 3 would take a series of maybe 10 minutes.
Could.
Could take that much, and then finally know who is the right person
Yes.
to take the call.
And ultimately, if it's done right, that very first level
Yeah.
becomes a little more sophisticated.
Ah,
So it doesn't necessarily, doesn't pass everything on to level 2.
wow.
It might be able to solve more problems right away.
Okay.
That's the goal.
Okay.
So you don't get that much going down to level 3. You try to build up that initial call so that when you call, the problem might be a little more difficult than it was a month ago for the person answering.
Yeah.
But now they can probably solve it because
Okay.
you give them the tools to solve it. Maybe 2 more questions.
Okay.
Yes.
And if they don't receive email of complaints, I mean, you have solved it.
Yeah, well, yes, because you get a buy off, you let them know that it's.
And then you have a survey at the end to see
Then
if,
you continually survey every 3 months or so. You'll look
to make sure you have
to
satisfied
make sure that
customers.
make sure that whatever procedures you put in place are being followed.
Yeah.
And if there's anything that's been found in those procedures that needed fixing, you
Yeah.
fix them.
Okay, and see if the customer's
Sure,
happy.
sure.
So you design the survey then?
Yes, we design the surveys, and then do the measurements from there.
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds like what I've been experiencing in real life.
Yes.
Yeah, because right after I call customer service, I receive a survey.
Yeah.
So it's a very good, yeah, this big
But
companies.
the survey questions are like any other survey. It depends on how you phrase the question.
Ah,
You know,
okay.
you get a
so,
different answer if you phrase the question differently.
oh yeah, you work with companies like SurveyMonkey and all those.
Well, we build our own surveys.
Okay.
Yeah, we build our own survey questions because we know we're focusing in on a particular
Yeah,
function
you
or
know
process.
exactly what the questions.
So we know what we need to ask.
Okay. Were you happy with the customer service person? Did they solve your problem?
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
okay. Are you happy with our company?
We also do the same thing with the people who are answering the phones. Are you happy with the support you're getting
Ah,
from
It's important.
level 2 or level 3?
okay.
And then you go to people on level 2 and level 3 and say, what is it you're doing that's so special
Yeah,
that can't be done in level 1?
I see.
And they'll say, well, there's a bunch of things here I do I don't need to do. They could do it.
I see.
So then that's how you build
And
that
then-
first level up.
Oh, and then they can do it too if
Yeah.
you train them right.
Yes.
That's
Sometimes it's a simple procedure that person in level 2 follows that the person in level 1 could do. I could ask you 2 more questions and maybe stop you from going to another level.
got it, got it. So it's you gotta know the company.
Well, you have to understand how the process works. You have to
Yeah.
understand what you're trying to solve for a problem. You're problem solving.
Yeah.
You know?
And you have been also, you said, on the other hand, you were
Oh, yes.
in the IT department.
Yes, I've managed data centers and call centers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So now, because you have so many years of experience, you can say, I can come in and pick up the problem within a month. And
Yes.
pick up how to solve it within a month because I have so much experience.
Yes. Many times we're asked to solve problems that the people that are working there are supposed to solve in their own job.
Yeah. You mean you talk to the employees
Yes.
and how does it go?
Well, they're a little gun shy sometimes because they think they're going to lose their job.
Exactly.
So you have to assure them that they're not going to lose their job.
Yeah.
You're here to just help them.
Yeah.
Because most of the time, if they're in the weeds all day long, as it were, just working, they don't have time to think about
Solving
No,
more
they don't have the
problems.
time, 'cause
They
they-
just do their job, go
because
home.
they got too many problems. So you have somebody come in and
Yeah.
see if we can fix these, so then you can get back on doing what you should do for your job.
Yeah.
You know, so you try to bring the process a little tighter
Okay.
and measure it. Otherwise, you can't manage it. So
Yeah, I remember like maybe 30 years ago, people would go in a loop
Yeah.
and never
No,
get the right person to
No,
answer the problem.
That's right, and that's a big problem too. That's very frustrating.
Oh, one sends you to the other,
To
and then
the
it
other.
goes in the round
Sure.
circle.
Well, yeah, what happens is a lot of times the people using the system, the customer,
Yeah.
would find out who in the organization in IT
Yeah.
could solve their problem, call them directly.
Okay.
They wouldn't call a call center
I see.
because didn't want to listen to that. They
Oh.
said, just I'll call
The engineer.
Susie So I
Yeah.
call the engineer will fix it for me. Now there's no record of anything that broke.
Ah, okay. So
Right?
how are you going to keep track of that?
You can't.
Ah, okay.
You seem like you're doing well, but the engineer is complaining because people are calling him or her
Too
directly
much.
too much. And instead of them saying, well, wait a second, I'm not going to do this.
I have my job
I
to
have my
do.
job to do. So we
Right.
come in and say, he has his job to do. So let's figure out how we can fix this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's get someone to answer the
Yeah, and
call.
you have to get everybody in the organization involved from the top down. People that are everyday people working in the offices, the people in IT, they have to be together.
Okay.
You have to have some skin in the game, as they say.
Yeah. So how do you present yourself to potential, let's say, CEO? You say, listen, you might not be aware you have a lot of problems, but I can come in and make your organization more efficient. Is that the way you present
No,
yourself as a
most of the time
consultant?
they can seek us out.
They
We'll
seek
offer a
you?
service. We offer services what we can do for you.
Uh-huh.
We can improve your call center, your data center. We can help you with process. We can help you with measurement and metrics. What do you need?
Ah,
And then you start the dialogue.
okay.
Then we'll come in and say we'll do an audit.
Yeah.
We'll do an analysis. We'll come back and tell you what we found,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll give you some solutions.
Okay. When you say we, you come with
More than one person.
more than
usually.
one person?
Yes.
Ah, okay,
Because
okay.
sometimes it's a 3-man, 4-man job because you're interviewing so many people. At one insurance company, we interviewed 650 people.
Oh, so you do need help there.
Yes.
Oh,
We had
okay.
the survey questions all built, and we just meeting every day
Until you find
till we got the
you
people we needed,
yeah.
and we got all the information we needed. Then we summarized it, and broke out what problems we found,
Yeah.
looked at possible solutions,
Yeah.
and gave them time frames where we thought we could accomplish it, who we would need involved.
Yeah. So that's very good. You provide a good service because companies, the people on the other hand, the customer is also happy.
Oh, sure, sure.
Is also happy because he doesn't have to have the headache of spending all day on the phone and being
Right.
bounced around, and the next day is still not solved, right?
Yes.
So the customer is the beneficiary of all that.
Yeah, and ultimately behind the scenes, sometimes they don't see what you do because when you're doing this investigation, you're also looking at how they do their programming. Who
Yeah.
do they involve? Who signs off on things? How do they change? How do they test? How do they get things to work so they don't break?
Oh,
So they don't get phone calls. You don't want phone calls.
I see.
They have to be the exception.
Okay, so these customers are using the company software or something, or
Yes.
they're using?
Yes. The company, yeah, well, they'll buy software and use it, no applications and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then you have sometimes to customize it.
Yes, some of it's very heavily customized. Yes.
Oh, so you need someone who really understands software.
Well, you have to have someone. If you're doing some consulting like that, you need someone who knows that product very well
Oh,
to work
okay.
with the client.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. So your job is actually at a level where you understand the customer, where you understand the level 1, level 2, level 3, where you understand the industry, and where you understand
Yes.
where everybody's coming from.
Yes.
And yeah, so you cannot have like someone who's only like 30 walk in and figure it out because they have no experience,
They have
correct?
not enough experience.
Not enough experience.
Because there's politics and everything, as you know. There's always
Yeah.
a political piece to it.
Yeah, it's funny when I hear someone who comes out of a huge university like Stanford and after only 4 years of schooling call themselves consultants. How could they?
They can't really.
They can't.
You can't. The thing that's I think important is if you've been in a position where you weren't a consultant. You actually had to do the job.
Yes.
And
And then
you
you
learn along the
understand.
way. You understand if you understand the business cycle, and you understand the
Exactly.
business process.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah,
say.
yeah,
So,
yeah, sure.
so you gotta have been on the shoes of the worker,
Yes.
and that's the only way to actually understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very interesting. So I know now I'm gonna get into you. How did you end up getting into that business? I mean, you say you started in many companies. Did you start like graduating from a school in IT and then
No,
going in
no,
different companies? No?
no. My first year of college, after my first year of college, I couldn't afford to go back to school.
I see.
So I got a job at a bank, and I was working in what they call unit record, right before early computer stuff.
Yeah.
So I got involved in 1962. Then went
Wow.
back to school in 66, got my degree in 69.
Yeah.
But during the time I was in school full time, working full time. I was working in IT.
Okay.
So I worked as a operator,
Yeah.
programmer, analyst, and then I got into management,
Wow.
and then consulting.
And then you finish school meanwhile.
I finished school, yeah. I finished school. So,
So meanwhile, and then all of a sudden you can
well,
walk in and say, I can be a manager now.
well, I got to be a manager in 1973, my
Oh.
first managerial job, and then consulting in the 80s, 90s, and 2000 before I retired.
Okay.
Well, consulting, but I stayed in operations,
Yeah.
computer centers, data centers, software support, network support. So I stayed in things that I felt most comfortable with.
Okay. Does the job of a consultant in 2018 the same as in 1973? No. If things have,
1983, no, it's not. No, it's different. Yeah.
how,
Some
how,
things are different.
how has things evolved in the industry? Maybe more computers now.
Yeah, well, there's more computers. The languages are different.
Yeah.
It's easier for people to interact with, as you can tell when you're using your computer.
Yeah.
Very easy to interact. The languages are more sophisticated than they were
People
then.
use email now,
Yeah,
use
there was
texting,
email. Yeah.
use video conferencing, use. So the way of communicating has expanded.
Oh, it's absolutely. Yes, absolutely has. Yes.
So
It's way different. Things are faster.
Yeah.
There's more information out there. More people are tuned in, and more people are accustomed to using equipment where they weren't then.
Ah.
Because computers were a big black box at one time. Nobody knew what went on.
Okay.
It was all a big mystery.
Really?
It still is a mystery to some people. But
Wow. So now because technology has evolved, does your job become easier for you?
in some respects, I think it does. Yes, you still have the problems. Some of the same problems that were prevalent years back
Yeah.
are prevalent now, and that's communication. Communication between people.
Yeah, but to enter your data
Oh,
is
yes.
faster for you.
Oh, yeah, it's much faster, yes.
Yeah, and you can just hire someone to do the data entry and you get the result.
Yes, yes. You can.
Yeah,
It
that's
makes
the
it
way it works.
simpler, yeah.
It makes life easier for you.
Sure, sure.
And then you have the result and you say, hey, this is what I got.
Yes.
And now I can give you the solution.
Sure, but you still go through the questioning and the interviewing and the
One-on-one.
analysis, one-on-one stuff. You still do that.
You still do that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to do that, sure.
Yeah, so yeah, it's interesting actually. There's in that kind of a job, you have the human aspect.
Yes,
You got to have good communication skill one on one,
yes.
and then you have the technology aspect, which you have to update yourself constantly.
Well, you have to stay current with it, yes. You
Yeah,
have to
but
stay
the
current.
human aspect is a human is a human.
That's the toughest
Stay-
part.
It's you gotta really
Yes.
get the solution out. I mean, the problem out of the.
Yes, you have to get them to tell you what the problem is without them feeling like you're cornering them,
Ah, okay.
you know?
Yeah, so that takes also a special communication skill,
Sure.
right? It's you gotta be able to communicate with people at different level, from the management to the
Yes.
call center people,
Sure.
and then you approach them. You say, "Here, I'm here to help you. I'm
Yes.
not here to threaten you."
It takes a little while for them to figure out that you are there to help them.
But now that now you might look like the father they want to talk to, right?
Maybe, or
Yeah,
not.
yeah, or just you gotta make them feel comfortable that you know what you're doing, and
Yes.
that they can talk to you, and it will be confidential,
Mhm.
and that you're the only purpose of you being there is to help you and the customer. That's the way they gotta
Yeah.
perceive you. Yeah. So yeah, so it's a good profession, I would say.
No, it's a very good profession, yes. A lot of good people in it.
You can meet a lot of people.
lot.
There's the human aspects. There's also you gotta be trained in IT, of course. And is IT something that's expanding nowadays?
Oh, I think that you can't live without it. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Computers are everywhere. Artificial intelligence and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it could be a company of 100 people. It
Sure,
could be a company of
sure.
500 people. The problems
Problems are
can
the same problems.
really.
Communication, communication, yes.
Yeah, the problem is the same. Isn't
Yes,
that
same problem. Yes,
interesting?
it is.
So if you go to as a consultant for a small company, a medium company, and a big company,
Yeah.
you get a still
At a different level, maybe you won't
yeah
get as sophisticated a problem, but if you got a small company with a couple of programs,
yeah
somebody changes something, doesn't tell anyone, things don't work all of a sudden. Simple thing like that.
yeah. So you can solve it.
You should be able to solve it fairly quickly.
Yeah,
You
at
know?
the small company, and
Yeah.
then the big company, you got to find where the bug is.
Oh, big career companies, because too many personalities involved.
Ah,
And there's always, I shouldn't say there always is, but it tends to be more stovepipe. You know, this is my area of responsibility. That's yours. I'm not going to tell you what I'm doing, and you're not going to tell me what you're doing. So
they
we
don't want to
operate
devolve.
independently. Not good.
Yeah, they don't want to divulge what they know
That's
to.
their power source.
Ah, I'm the expert here. Don't try
That's
to
right.
take
That's
it
right.
from me.
That's right.
Yeah, I experienced that myself
Sure.
when my company sent a consultant from outside, and I felt he didn't know even half of what I know because I was doing the job. And then they were trying to get me to tell them what I knew. And I said, "Oh, you're here as a consultant, and I have to tell you.
But yes,
Isn't that something?
it is strange.
It is strange,
Yeah.
but they are there for another purpose than my job. So, but you gotta cooperate.
Yeah, and some people are reluctant to cooperate because they are afraid they're giving away the secret
That they know.
that they know. You know, like for example, there was one customer where we had one programmer, a senior engineer kind of person. He wouldn't share anything.
Ah, because he knew
He
how to
didn't
do that
realize.
program.
Yeah, and he didn't realize that if he shared what he was doing, which he had a whole list of steps that he went through to solve the problem, if he
Yeah.
just did that and gave it to somebody else,
Ah,
trained him in a couple of things in there, he would be free to do his engineering. And once he realized that it was going to take the burden of those things off of him,
he's more confident
he's
to
very more
share.
confident. Then he realized that you're trying to help him
Yeah, he
do
might
his
even,
real job.
he might even get a promotion.
Well, then he could do his job better. Then he could look at, so I don't have the time to look at doing this better because I'm always fixing this.
Ah,
Well, okay, how about if we get somebody else to fix this and you do what you're
good at.
really good at?
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
So there's and do you sometimes? I know this is very thing, but do you sometimes listen to conversations between the customer and the call center person?
Oh, yes.
You do.
Oh, yes. Oh,
You're
yeah.
allowed to have access to
Well,
that.
we ask for it because we want to know, we want to hear what
The actual
yeah, we want to hear
thing.
the actual person ask the question.
So you have access to the call.
Yeah, we insist on it.
Oh, you do.
Yeah. We insist on being able to listen in while they're doing the problem resolution.
Is the customer service person aware that you're listening?
Oh, yes.
Oh, they
yeah.
are. Okay.
There's many times we'll sit with them. When they get a phone call, we'll have a call. We'll just be able to listen in.
Oh, you are. Okay.
Yeah, and then
okay.
then after the call, we can say, okay, how
So
should
you
we have
don't do
done
it
this?
behind their back.
No, never. No.
Always while they're
Oh,
here.
yes, always while they're there.
Oh, that's nice.
So they
of
know
you.
we're involved, and so we can right there say, oh, you know, if you handle that call this way,
It's better for you and for the customer.
yeah. So let's document how we could do this better.
I see.
So you just constantly trying to improve it, and they get into they get into the rhythm of looking at their job that way after they spend some time with you because you've trained them how to problem solve.
Oh, and they become better
They become much better at it.
and efficient and
Yes, they
everything.
become efficient. They find that they have a better career path for themselves many times.
Wow.
So maybe I can go to level 2 and solve problems, or level 3 and solve problems.
Then they get a promotion.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
So that's great.
Ideal situation. Sure.
Wow. So I'm honored to be interviewing the guy who is at the top and supervise everybody and bring the solutions. So you're rather than call yourself consultant, it's better to call yourself problem solver. Something like that.
Yeah,
It should be so people know what consultant is, because, like I said before I met you earlier today, some people are simple salespeople, and they call themselves consultant.
Consultant, sure. Marketing consultant, sales
Yeah.
consultant, yeah.
Yeah. So you are more like the problem solver
Or
consultant.
subject matter expert, or whatever you want to call it. Efficiency experts, they used to call them at one time.
Yeah. So it was a pleasure to find out more about this particular profession because there are so many aspects of that profession.
Mhm.
So I wanted to thank you for taking the time to talk to
Well,
me and
thank you.
to us. And I'm sure that whoever is watching is going to find this informative, interesting. Um, so if anybody wants more information, Ralph is there to help you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Super.